Hazel is an ugly and useless teenage knight apprentice who regularly trains with his old friend, Claus. But it's clear he's way weaker than Claus and gets beaten down multiple times like a pathetic little boy. The other knights are seen gossiping about the sparring match, and they give him some tips on how to improve his crappy technique and assure him he will get stronger if he keeps training. Later, while patrolling the city, Hazel and Fleg come across a dark elf. The people in town get visibly worried about this elf, so Fleg leaves to make a report to his superiors. While taking a break, Hazel notices an old friend called Frey, and they talk about fighting insects with claws when they were much younger. Meanwhile, in the castle, Belle informs the king that there have been demon sightings in the forest, and the king orders some scouts to be sent. Belle and some other men discuss the severity of the situation and what they must do to get rid of the demons. Moriham walks in and introduces a dark elf called Ree, the same elf that Hazel ran into earlier, and is also the leader of a dangerous gang called the Black Edge. He suggests that they can use the elf to get rid of the demons, which makes everyone angry. In the evening, Hazel and his friends are talking about the demons. Claus announces that he won't be able to train Hazel for a while because his squad was ordered to investigate demons in the forest, which makes Hazel worry. Later, the Black Edge discusses how easy it was to sneak into the village and taking revenge on the town by killing all the nobles. In the forest, Claus and his squad come under ambush by the demons. Their squad is losing terribly, and Fled loses his life to an arrow in the head. Claus tells the last knight to run back to the village and report the attack to the commander while he holds them off. Moriham once again suggests using the power of the Dark Elves. Hazel is informed that only one scout returned and that it was a Claus. Free comes in together. After a heartfelt conversation about how important their friends are to them, they go into the forest to look for Claus. Hazel and Free arrive at the forest. They immediately notice all the dead bodies and grieve over their fallen comrades. But suddenly, Hazel and Free get attacked by multiple demons. Hazel is having a hard time fighting off all the demons by himself because he is extremely weak and has no talent. It gets even worse for him when a woman called Maria shows up and sends him crashing toward a tree with her power. Just when it looks like it's all going to end, Rihi and his group, the Black Edge, show up and fight off the demons and Maria with ease. Maria makes a tactical retreat after seeing their strength and teleports away. Rihi tells Hazel and Frey they were paid to be here and that they had no interest in saving them. After they leave, a female sorceress, Cleo, and her babysitter, Roa, show up and reveal that the great sage, Dominix, commanded them to bring Hazel and Free to his tower. They travel to a cliff to meet Dominix. With Cleo's magic, they all reach the Tower of Sage and meet the great sage, Dominix, who reveals to them that Claus is alive. Claus tells them about his battle with the demons, but when Hazel mentions his fight with Maria, Claus says he didn't fight a female, and it's revealed Maria is actually a witch and had no relations with the demons. Dominix tells Hazel and Frey to stay and rest and tells Cleo and Roy to take care of them. Later, Cleo shows Frey her room and jokes that she thought she would have liked to share a room with Hazel. Embarrassed, Frey says that will never happen because he is a scrawny weakling who can't even defeat a low-ranking demon by himself. Frey spots Hazel sitting alone on the grass outside, so she goes outside to talk to him. They speak about how Hazel lost his mother to demons when they attacked the village many years ago, and Hazel says he doesn't want to lose anyone important to him ever again. However, it's clear he will because he is incredibly weak. Meanwhile, Moriham talks to Rihit and congratulates him on completing his mission successfully. He says that Orvelia is weakened by Belle and the other men's leadership, while also confirming that they will be doing more business together. Back in the tower, Dominix orders Cleo to bring Hazel and Free to his room because he has something important to tell them. This is when he reveals that Hazel is King Kyle's son. Hazel doesn't believe this and yells at Dominix, saying that King Kyle disappeared 100 years ago, so there's no way this is possible. Dominix says he will explain everything, and this is when we learn about King Kyle's backstory from 100 years ago. King Kyle regularly sparred with his half-sister Ilia, a dark elf. When they were done, King Kyle spoke about how he wanted to become a great king, and Ilia promised to help with her techno magic. He also tells them about King Kyle's relationship with Arlette, Hazel's mother. However, he was forced to leave time and time again to lead his army to defeat demons. Suddenly, his father passed away, so he became king. After he started gathering trustworthy allies to defeat the demons, King Kyle got injured during a battle, and he found Arlette in a shelter, pregnant with Hazel. He said he wanted to make the world better for his child. Almost as if responding to his wish, Lua, the goddess of light, appeared and gave him the holy sword to defeat the Dark Lord. Meanwhile, Ilia studied techno-magic. Ilia made a fake holy sword and rushed to King Kyle to give it to him, but was killed by demons before she arrived. Dominix continues his story by telling us about the day when Malduk summoned the Dark Lord, but King Kyle defeated him, and they both disappeared. He says Kyle's companions sealed away the holy sword while Ilia was put on trial after her death. She was found guilty, resulting in all the Dark Elves getting prosecuted and banished from Orvelia. Meanwhile, the Black Edge discusses their hate for Ilya, and Reet vows to take revenge on Revelia. Back in the tower, Dominix explains that in 100 years, Malduk will be able to bring back the Dark Lord, so they put Arlette into a century-long nap. They believe only someone with King Kyle's blood could wield the Holy Sword to defeat the Dark Lord. But a few years after she woke up, she was killed by demons, and so Kazel ended up in an orphanage. Kazel wants to get stronger and asks Dominix how he can get the Holy Sword, so Dominix tells him that he has to break the seal. This will be a challenging task, so he calls Cleo and Roy, who were eavesdropping, to come in and says they will accompany Kazel and Frey on their journey. With Cleo's magic, they descend the tower to start their adventure where Maria is lurking. They approach the forest of Elodora to meet Lorraine, King Kyle's companion. Cleo jokes that Kazel is too useless to be the son of King Kyle, which is true, but Frey says she believes he is. Suddenly, they get attacked by demons. Roy fights them off until a girl called Celine arrives and saves them. Celine tells them she has orders from Lorraine to bring them, so they follow her into the forest. However, the trees despise humans and deceive them into wandering out of the forest, ultimately leading them to a cliff. Celine tries to convince the trees to let them back in, but it doesn't work. They start to lose hope until a baby tree called Neka appears and leads them back to Celine. After continuing their journey, they decide to stop and find food while chatting about King Kyle and the Dark Lord Angmund like losers. Their peace is interrupted when they get attacked by a huge tree that leads them to a plant demon terrorizing the forest. They all work together to defeat it, but Necha gets caught, which makes Kazel finally try and do something but gets slammed back toward a tree because he's so weak. Cleo tries to help but can't get close because of the sharp vines. Kazel attacks the demon again but gets caught by the vines like Necha. It looks like he's about to die, which wouldn't be so bad, but Neka throws his sword at the demon's weak spot, which releases Kazel. However, the demon blasts Necha to bits, which makes Kazel lose control of his emotions, and so he attacks the demon relentlessly when it's already been defeated, but the loser he is, while Celine begs him to stop. Lorraine, the master of the forest, suddenly appears. Master Lorraine says she is very thankful to Kazel and everyone else for saving the forest of Elodora. This doesn't make Kazel feel any better, as he remembers that he couldn't protect Necha. Kazel explains why they are in the forest, but Lorraine says she can't unseal the Holy Sword because its overwhelming power could kill Kazel. Later, they buried Necha in his favorite spot where he liked to play. Lorraine asks Celine if Kazel can handle the Holy Sword, but Celine is unsure because of Kazel's anger problem. Kazel goes to Necha's grave and talks about his anger problems, which he wants to solve, and Celine overhears him. Afterward, Lorraine questions Celine again, and stupidly enough, she answers in Kazel's favor. Lorraine undoes the seal but reveals there are 2 more locks, so they all have to travel to Ogria Mountain to undo the next lock. As they leave the forest, Maria appears and attacks them, but she is surprised at the power of the Holy Sword. She later reveals that the Holy Sword is Lua's curse and disappears. They all end up in a town where they decide to stay for the night. Cleo ends up spending all their money but wants a fluffy bed, so she decides to get a job in town. But she makes a mistake and blows up a building with her magic, so they spend the night outside. The following day, Roy sells his knife for money, and Cleo works at a restaurant to earn money. The whole day, the group does things like cleaning, washing the dishes, and fixing the doors, chairs, and roof. Madame says this village was once full of travelers, but a war broke out, and everything was burned, including Madame's family. Later, Cleo understands that her magic can bring great harm. Suddenly, demons attack the village, but Cleo hesitates to use her magic. However, she is able to use her brain and save everybody by using her magic wisely. Roy appears and tells them he was able to make some money. Princess Scarlet and Belle discuss the Dark Lord's return with Ophelia, and Reet overhears. Reet talks to Princess Scarlet and agrees to join the knights in hunting the demons. Later, Princess Scarlet introduces Reet and the Black Edge to other knights and allies of Orvelia. A moron called Zero speaks badly about them, so Scarlet orders everyone to respect them. Demia talks about the demons in Elodora's forest. Reet suggests molding the army to help and protect everyone, not just those in the castle. This makes Zero mad. Soon later, one of the Black Edge members gets attacked in town, and Reet guesses Zero planned the attack. Reet tells Moriam, and he tells Reet to get evidence. Scarlet apologizes to Reet. Reet goes to his humble abode and finds the sword of one of Zero's friends. He tracks Zero down and politely warns him to stay away from his friends. As they traveled through the forest, Cleo and Frey got into an argument. During their discussion, a young girl suddenly appeared but quickly ran away. Frey, however, seemed concerned by her presence. Seeking a guide to help them navigate the area, the group continued walking until they encountered Hendel, the mayor of a nearby village. Hendel greeted them and explained the dire situation his people were facing. He spoke of the village's deteriorating condition and the relentless attacks by demons. Understanding the gravity of the situation, they all agreed to offer their help. While in the village, Frey once again spotted the same young girl she had seen earlier. She learned that the child's name was Elise, but despite her attempts to communicate, Elise remained silent. Wanting to comfort her, Frey took her outside and gently hugged her. Later, Frey approached her friends and requested that they stay in the village a little longer. She spent her time playing with the village children, though Elise remained distant. Instead of joining the games, the girl focused on drawing yellow flowers, the same flowers her mother had loved. Eventually, Elise confided in Frey, revealing that demons had taken her mother's life. Moved by the story, they decided to prepare a dish using those very flowers. That evening, Cleo overheard Hendel asking Frey to stay in the village. Concerned, she quickly informed Kazel and Roy. By morning, the group prepared to leave, but Elise, desperate for Frey to remain, tricked her into entering a room and locked her inside. While Kazel and the others searched for Frey, he encountered Elise, who reluctantly began leading him toward the room where she had trapped her. However, before they could reach it, demons launched a sudden attack. In the chaos, Frey managed to escape. After successfully defeating the demons, she and the others left the village behind. As they continued their journey, Kazel and his companions stumbled upon a devastated settlement. Cleve felt uneasy, sensing something was amiss. When Kazel approached a lone man, he quickly realized the figure was undead. Before they could react, humanoid undead demons began surrounding them. Acting swiftly, they managed to escape and soon encountered Johan. Johan recounted the horrific attack, explaining that demons and undead villagers had struck the settlement once more. He also revealed that he was the only survivor and Elise's father. The group urged him to reunite with his daughter, but Johan refused to leave the ruined village. Instead, he offered to guide them to Ogria Mountain and suggested they stay the night before departing. As they rested, the conversation turned to the nature of the undead and how demons controlled them. Johan also mentioned that similar creatures had existed during King Kyle's era. Later that night, Kazel awoke and while wandering, discovered an undead woman named Lisa in the basement. Johan tried to explain that she had already passed, but Kazel, furious, insisted that he go to Elise instead. Despite Johan's reluctance, he eventually returned to Lisa, who suddenly attacked him. Kazel and his companions intervened, saving Johan from the undead woman. However, the commotion drew the attention of more undead villagers, forcing them into battle once again. During the fight, Johan made the painful decision to put Lisa to rest. Meanwhile, in Orvelia Castle, Claus expressed his gratitude to Reheat for saving Kazel and his friends. However, Princess Scarlet remained deeply concerned about the king's deteriorating health. Later, she spoke with Reheat about her desire to protect not just the nobles, but all people of Orvelia. She also revealed that Lee's Day, the day of the Dark Lord's return, was fast approaching. During a strategy meeting, Demia pointed out that the resurrection was predicted to occur in the Gallial Plains. Reheat volunteered to investigate, prompting Scarlet to order preparations for an expedition. That night, Reed's sister, Rapine, confronted one of the Black Edge members, warning him about getting too close to humans. She confided in him her vision of Reed leading their people and coldly stated that if he stood in the way of that future, she would kill him. Elsewhere, Malduk eagerly anticipated humanity's downfall. Reflecting on the past, he recalled the time he had advised Princess Jane to use forbidden magic to revive her father. Though he had successfully turned the king into an undead being, Theo ultimately exiled him. Seeking vengeance, Malduk now conspired with Maria to bring back the Dark Lord. Meanwhile, Kazel and his companions journeyed through the Ogria Mountains, where they aided a group of orcs in their fight against the undead. Shortly after, they met Master Kala and Dale, who had been expecting Kazel's arrival. When Kazel requested an audience with Ayatollah, the orc chief, to unlock the next seal of the Holy Sword, he was instead introduced to Seed, the new chief. Master Kala agreed to escort Kazel to the chief, but insisted on protecting him throughout the journey. As they waited by the river, conversation shifted to the orcs' culture, including their tattoos and shamanistic traditions. Their moment of respite ended when two orcs approached them, leading them to Chief Sieg. Upon meeting Kazel, Chief Sieg demanded proof that he was truly the heir of the Holy Sword. To prove himself, Kazel was forced to fight the chief. Master Kala, willing to vouch for Kazel, even offered to sacrifice himself, but Kazel insisted on gaining the chief's cooperation through his own merit. Before the battle commenced, Chief Sieg relayed Ayatollah's final message to Kazel. With the chief's approval, Kala led Kazel to the Holy Shrine, where he explained the nature of the trial he would face. Upon entering, Kazel heard mysterious voices urging him to reveal his true heart. As the voices repeated their message, he stepped through a door and found himself reliving a childhood memory with his mother. While Kazel faced his trial, his friends discussed life in the mountains, remaining hopeful for his success. Meanwhile, inside the dreamlike vision, Kazel enjoyed his time with his mother. However, an unsettling feeling crept over him. Suddenly, he awoke to the painful realization that his mother was gone. Her spirit appeared before him, attempting to keep him from leaving. Refusing to accept the illusion, Kazel pushed forward and encountered the spirit of Ayatollah, who bestowed upon him the key to unseal the Holy Sword. When Kazel and Kala returned, Kazel presented the talisman to Chief Seed, who unlocked the second seal. Before parting, Seed advised Kazel to grow stronger and pledged his aid in the coming battle against the Dark Lord. Their conversation was abruptly interrupted by Malduk, who appeared before them, inquiring about the Holy Sword Aya. Chief Seed immediately engaged him in battle, but to everyone's horror, he was killed in a single strike. Kazel and his friends launched an attack on Malduk, and as the fight intensified, the Dark Mage sensed the Holy Sword's growing power within Kazel. Kazel managed manage to cut several strands of Malduk's hair. Malduk crashes out and shoots a massive blast, which knocks out Frey. Khazel realizes that if Frey dies, so will her only fan, so he attacks Malduk like a thirsty beast, slowly getting stronger during the battle for the first time ever in his life. He forces Malduk into defense, but suddenly he starts to glow yellow, which makes Malduk teleport away and cause a massive blast that knocks him out. While Khazel rests on a bed to recover, Frey writes a letter to Claws about their hardships and Khazel's destiny to inherit the Holy Sword. Cleo comes and asks about Khazel's health, but she sees Frey's letter and decides to write a letter to Dominic's. Meanwhile, in the forest of Elodora, Lorraine and Celine are worried about Khazel and hope that he can meet Pavel to unlock the third seal. This is all for this anime. Don't forget to drop a like and a sub if you agree that Khazel is weak and useless. See you in the next video.